Welcome to Normalize You, your place to help us redefine normal. I'll be your host and your moderator, and I'll be here to help the world understand you and to help you understand the world. I just have two questions for you. What does the word normal mean to you? And how's it going, fellas? How's everybody's day going?
Going great. I was getting in some good sleeps. Thank you for waking me up. I really do appreciate it. And I'm not
There's
being
money to be
sarcastic. I
made.
mean,
Money to be made. Now, I don't know. It's not like something to say.
The fact that he had a whole sarcastic tone and still said not to be sarcastic,
Because he's
as he said in sarcasm, not to be sarcastic, but nah, that was a sincere appreciation because you did ask us to make sure you up for the call.
I would call you a moron, but you're short, so you're more of a less ron. But go ahead, Mike. What you about to say? How's the day, brother? Just try to go up. Hold up. Try not to be. So this is organic. I want everybody to know. Everybody's gonna be in our comment section saying, "Why they look like that? Why they talk like that?" We are very organic. This is a platform where you can come and speak your piece with no judgment. We, as a panel
Oh
members, will
my
not have a
goodness.
bias at all. You come and speak your piece. You talk about anything in life that you think either is normal or should be normal or something that society doesn't deem as normal, and you like to paint a brighter light to that particular something, or you think that something that's already in existence should have a light removed from it. This is the platform to do that. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you view yourself as a super high prestige or if you view yourself as far as the lowest social totem. It does not matter. This platform is open to everyone, any and everyone. Um, with that being said, today I have a question for you too. Therapy, should it be normal?
Yes,
I
but
would say it should be normal, but it's something that should be a lot more easy. Well, I wouldn't say easily acceptable because it is easy acceptable. A lot more accepted.
Okay.
let me chime in on that one because I do agree with that. Yes, it should be normal, but therapy should not have a price. Like you shouldn't charge people to express their emotions because they're at the lowest point of their mental capacity. That's where therapy comes in.
Okay.
Like therapy is when people are at their lowest or at a brink. Not I'm not gonna say lowest, they're at a brink
Yeah.
of that fine line between I can make myself happy, but something might kill it before I get there.
So
So it's like it shouldn't be a price on therapy.
correct. So, and I agree. Like everybody has their own views on everything. My particular take, and like I said, I was actually gonna come up with a different topic today, and that topic was encouragement. So I feel like these two could tie hand in hand because I do think that therapy is necessary, but not, as you guys have realized now, and in the comment section, this isn't about what is black and white. It's not about what's in front of your face. Some things aren't always tangible. You can't always grab it. You got to be able to like pick around with it and then you can get a deeper definition from it. And by that, I mean how therapy and encouragement can tie hand in hand. Therapy starts at home.
100%.
Expand on that.
I I'll do it.
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you go ahead. I'm gonna let you go ahead. I'm gonna let you go ahead.
So it's like therapy starts at home. That goes back to like I used to say a few years ago, everything starts at home. It was like we used to meet up, right? And if we all three of us meet up at Addison Road, right? Sometimes me and Jeff will have our own separate frustrations coming from our homes, but by the time we meet up, it's not there anymore because the frustration was at home. Our therapy was our independence at the time, like our walks or our ride to the station. So by the time we got to each other, we didn't need it. But if if it's no problems at home, everything should be balanced. So by the time you get to wherever you should focus, you should be able to focus on that because home is balanced.
Okay, let me elaborate a little bit more on that. So what I mean fully, and that's not actually far-fetched. It's just a little bit different with my thought process, but I understand what you're saying. So to elaborate a little bit on what you're saying, not that I have to. I'm gonna ask you first. Would you allow me to elaborate on what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So in order for me to elaborate on what you're saying, I have to express what I meant. What I mean is people are so quick to be like, hey, this is a particular problem with the child that I brought into this world. Let me find outside help and just pay them X amount of dollars or free, it doesn't matter, and let them explain to either me or that person that I'm trying to get therapy for to be better. But it's like you can, as a person that lives in your household, if we have a great relationship, or even if we don't, but you want to find a way to have a good relationship, I feel like you should be able to come to me, or I should be able to come to you, and we can work out our problems. Because if I have a child or a relative staying with me and they come from school and they look miserable, like every day they come home looking miserable, they having a bad day, their temperament goes out of whack, they are rebellious, I'm not gonna be like, hey, let me call up such and such and pay this person X amount of dollars to make sure that they can be fit back into society without having any type of depression issues or just mental issues altogether. I, as that
Excuse
person's,
me.
you know, elder in a sense, I should be able to pull them to the side and be like, hey, what's wrong? Let me talk to you. Because then if I can't help you, then we can work on having professional help. But I tell people all the time, the most professional help you're going to get is through a bond that you trust. How can you expect me to trust a
Right.
stranger? For example, I'm gonna give a little bit more information than I need to give. I have had a relative die some years back, and the first initial reaction from my family was, "Hey, go to therapy." And I would explain to them over and over again how I am perfectly fine, which kind of goes back into what I was saying. We should normalize people being who they are, because my way of dealing with grief isn't to cry about it, isn't to cause a temper tantrum, is to legitimately internalize it so that I can find a way to make it so that I can blend into what I got to do every other day where it doesn't affect them. But at the same time, I can let out my aggression in the way that I'm comfortable. But everyone can't understand that.
That
So
makes sense.
because they couldn't
Yeah.
understand it, they were saying, let me send you to therapy because we can't understand how you grieve. It's not for you to understand how I grieve. It's for me to understand how I grieve and me include you into how I grieve. So
Right.
therapy starts at home because if you as a person that lives in my household, or not even necessarily in my household, in a household of blood, we live in the same household of blood,
Mhm.
I should be able to come to you and tell you this is what's wrong with me, or this is what I'm having a mental issue with. Can you help me address the situation?
And what
Which,
I,
oh, my bad. Go ahead.
what I think a lot of people have a problem with, people don't like admitting that they have flaws. And in order for them to accept having to go to therapy, they have to be able to admit that, hey, there's a flaw, there's something wrong. Even if it's not something that's permanently wrong with them, it can be something that's temporary, like just something they're going through. They don't want to be able to admit that, and they have to be able to do that before they can even accept the fact that, yes, therapy is needed. You have to be able to accept that something is wrong and something needs to be done in order to even accept that therapy in the first place. And a lot of people don't like admitting that there's a fault at hand.
Mm.
Everybody wants to be pristine and perfect, which does not exist.
That makes sense. And to add on to that, like, because I agree with both of y'all statements. To add on to that, I think people should be more open to admitting and explaining to people that they love, like, and that they really have a bond with, what they don't trust them with. Because
Correct.
that comes into that bond, right? Where if a person says go to therapy, that's like saying, all right, go talk to this stranger. And at the same time, I got to tell you, I don't know this stranger. So why would I go talk to them? Me and the stranger don't have a bond. So I got to give them personal information where I know that you know me. So you should be able to assist me because you've been around me. And that's where if you live with a person, right? It's like, prime example, another personal thing. I always ask people, yo, you good? Right? Or something wrong? And Jeff, for prime example, Jeff always says, nah, I'm good. Right? If I didn't trust him, I would antagonize, nah, bro, what's the matter? You all right? You not like I would antagonize that. The moment he says I'm good, I don't you sure it no more. Like I haven't said you sure in about 10 years to Jeff because I trust him. I trust him to be good when he says he's good. And and I agree with the fact that like one with what you said, Darion, and and at the same time when Jeff says like when you accept someone, right? At the same time, that trust has to come with them. So on the opposite end, you got to trust this person to be themselves. Where like how Jeff deals with grief is similar to how I deal with grief, but what I had to go through to get with like my issues was before people passed away, at some point I had to imagine that emotional feeling in order for me to deal with it for when it happened, right? Like in '08, I lost my father. For 3 years after that, I shut down emotionally. And it made people not accept me because they didn't know that I changed that, right? And then so when it comes to, hey yo, you good? Yeah, I'm all right. It's because I already dealt with my problem. The problem come from, do you acknowledge it or not?
Huh.
Anything to add to that, Darion?
Yeah. So I'll give you a little anecdote. And this is to kind of piggyback off of what Mike was saying about talking to strangers. I know like how did not get along at all when I was younger.
Mhm.
So he took me to therapy when I was younger, and I could tell the therapist was trying to actually get me to talk more. But considering the fact that me and didn't talk a lot and we weren't close, I'm just a
Mhm.
little kid in this therapist office. I'm thinking, okay, whatever I tell you, you're just going to go back and tell. I thought she was legally obligated to tell. And because I knew that
Mm.
thing I tell, even if it's something that was just, hey, this is what I think is going on, this is how I feel about it, I always get backlash for how I felt. So it's like, why would I want to tell a stranger this that's just going to have to go back and tell? I didn't know about that doctor-patient confidentiality as a young kid.
Right.
I
Which is,
still
oh
need
my bad.
for me to accept that therapy, that help that I was being given. I needed to be able to trust well enough to be able to accept what I felt about why I even needed the therapy in the first place.
Mm.
So
Correct.
I
So let
really
me.
feel like I had somewhere where I could actually go responsibly and get that help because the person I required to help me get that help, I didn't feel that much trust between.
With that being said, I had a situation with the same person I talked about that passed that I was grieving over. My family thought that I was going through something mentally that required therapy, and I didn't want to speak to a stranger. Mind you, when I was younger, I talked a lot. Like I talked a lot, and because I was excited to be around people, I was excited to learn who I was, to grow into me. And then it became a time where my family didn't want to listen to nothing I had to say. Everything I was saying was wrong. I had to stay in the child's place. So it caused me to become like a recluse, like to be by myself. Every time we do anything, I would be with myself, just distance myself. But my family created that. So when this person passed and I was sent to therapy, I didn't want to talk to a stranger because I thought, mind you, as a child, that my therapy should be at home because you're the person I want to talk to. I know as a young child, I know that therapists get paid. It wasn't news to me. You couldn't surprise me. The thought of Santa Claus never existed in my life. Like basically what I'm saying is I never dreamed of a fantasy. I lived in reality every day of my life. So when I was sent to therapy, knowing that every day this therapist wants to get paid, and they could see that when I was in the office and they would talk to me, when he would talk to me, ask me questions, I would just sit there and just okay, whatever he asked, I would answer. But anybody that's known me for years knows that I'm very careful about the things that I say. Very careful, and it's not like I think about it; it's just an instant thought that I'm careful about the things that I say. So the therapist not knowing me, which is why we go full circle, the therapist not knowing me tries to pry information out of me that he didn't need to try to pry out of me because I was never going to give it to him in the first place. So that caused me to then lash out, which why I tell people all the time, which is why this conversation of encouragement came up, where I'm like, encourage your child, encourage your friends, encourage your family. Pick up the phone randomly today and call a relative you never called in a while, or call a friend and tell them you love them, because you never know that that person could just need that. Because what nobody realized about me was, which is why I'm good friends with these two, and I don't consider them friends, I consider them brothers, is because when I need them, for the fact that both of these guys have known me for double decades, yeah, both these guys have known me for double decades. When I need them, they know that I need them, knowing that I don't need anybody for, any type of release mentally. I can handle a lot. So that therapy session put me in a bad place because I'm getting grilled. It wasn't therapeutic. I'm getting grilled by a professor of that, class, trying to pry information out of me that I did not want to give him. And on top of that, I knew he was getting paid because when I was coming into the conversation calm, quiet, and just composed, because I know how to handle my own aggression and my own uh, issues, he was trying to pry at the thing that he thought would trigger me the most because he wanted to get something out of me being in that session. But it wasn't meant for him to get anything out of that session. I didn't encourage myself to go to therapy. I was paid for by a family member against my own will to go into therapy. And allow me to segue, fellas. I'm sorry I'm going on a big rant or whatever, but let me go back. Let me segue a little bit more because that kind of brings up a point I brought up yesterday to somebody. If your child comes in the room, I don't care if they're 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, and they tell you, hey, dad, hey, mom, I could build a time machine. Sit back, tell them, show me. Encourage your child. Stop telling children they're not smart because they're 5. You can only think on a 5-year-old level. No, that child, we are growing up in a generation where our children are going to be smarter than us when it comes to certain things. So they're going to know something we don't know. Encourage people. Stop telling people that they can only do something based on what you can and can't do. I was told so many times when I was younger that I couldn't do something that I was gifted at because someone else in my family that was older than me couldn't do it themselves. So because they couldn't do it, they automatically threw that stigma on me that I couldn't do it because I was too young. That does not make sense. Everybody has a gift that someone else may not have. I just want to segue on that because that was really on my mind.
But yeah, but the I guess the overall result with encouragement and therapy,
Mhm.
that middle link would be trust. Like when we went on that Colorado trip, right?
Mhm.
Like me and Darion we already been cool, right?
Mhm.
But the thoughts over the years for us to have a a confirmation over our bond was that trip. Like we just had a talk about some of the stuff that he just brought up with, like, his childhood dealing with him, and even some of the stuff with like just you and how we communicate. It's those moments that always solidified the people I surround myself with. With same as you, I don't trust everybody like just to talk to. I definitely don't give all my information to people. Like that is, what'd you say, vague? Like that's a word that you just throw it out there when we need it. Like that's, something, I gotta be vague with my brothers. Like that's where it comes in play. Because we know that the way the world works, everybody aren't open to trust strangers the way that we are.
Yeah.
But that's normal for us. But for the people around us, it looks different. It looks weird.
Yeah.
And it's simply because whatever they put their screen time to, they start to diminish their trust towards society, right? We're like, we can go out into the world and encourage people. We can go out into the world and be somebody's quick therapist. We can do that. But to present the opportunity for them to trust us is up to us.
You know what? To add on to that, it's like it's something I always said, and y'all have heard me say this a plethora of times. Sacrifice isn't about you. It's about who and what you're sacrificing for. Some people swear up and down they love
Yeah.
someone, but they wonder why that person doesn't give, they don't reciprocate that same energy towards them. You can love somebody the wrong way. I tell people that all the time, and I just using an
Yeah.
example, not a personal example, just literally an example. If I, if you tell me right now, if you be like, no, if I tell you, Mike, I'm trying to run to the 7-Eleven, what do you want?
Mm.
Give me something you want.
I'm
7-Eleven.
gonna tell you straight up, let me get a cheese pizza.
I bet. I go to the 7-Eleven and I come back with a ham sandwich. You're going to appreciate that ham sandwich because I bought you something to nourish your hunger. But you're gonna look at me and be like,
But I ain't gonna trust you no more.
and
I
it's
ain't gonna,
funny because
I ain't gonna
but that's what I'm getting at. Where it's like people have a tendency of loving the wrong way, and sometimes it's written in
yeah.
your face like an open book test. But you refuse to gather that information. You refuse to look at that book and get the information right in front of you. He asked for a cheese pizza. I went to the store and I bought
Yeah.
him a ham sandwich. I did him something to help him nourish his body, but I completely ignored what he wanted. Therefore, I didn't love him the way he needed to be loved.
Right. So basically, where trust goes is we both have the comprehension that I trust you to go get me some food, but like with that aspect, I can't trust you with the memory that I'm pescatarian. So what the hell I'm gonna do with a ham sandwich? I'm gonna still be grateful that you got it for me because you was going to get you something and you offered me.
Correct.
But the fact that I'm not about to eat it, where my diet overpowers my gratefulness. So technically, I wouldn't not trust you, but trust is still that stem that'd be like, you know what? I'll make sure I'll get that cheese pizza myself the next time we go to 7-Eleven.
And I want to piggyback off of what Jeff was saying. I've come to realize this little concept of love language. I've come to realize that it's not just about, hey, this is how I like to be loved. No, I realize that your love language is actually a description of how you communicate with others and how you want others to communicate with you.
Ooh.
What's easier for you to accept when it comes to coming information. If I know that I know me, I'm a very physical person. So I know that when it comes to most of my relationships, y'all know me, I can be a bit of a pest sometimes, just a little bit. But let's say we all hanging out, let's say the entire time I don't mess with y'all even a little bit. Y'all are gonna think something's off because, like, hold up. Yeah, this man done been calm, but he ain't tried to be annoying, he ain't tried to bother us, nothing, not one bit. Y'all might look at it as growth for a minute, but then y'all realize, hold up, something don't feel right. It's different. I'm a very physical person. So it's like how I express my love and how I communicate with the world around me is very physical. That's what your love language is how you communicate with the world and how you receive that communication with the world around you, not just the people, but the world itself. That's what your love language is.
That's fair.
I'll piggyback off of that one because that made 100% actual sense and knowledge. Where just like one of my love languages is literature and comprehension, right? And where my way to express that is to communicate verbally. So on the opposite end, I have to discipline myself to make sure I listen well too. And I realized that it was a time where I wanted so much of I think it was a little small gap where I wanted people to listen to me because you know how people be like, oh, I heard you. And I'll go, no, you're not listening though. Because those are two different things. But once you acknowledge that somebody's not accepting your love the way that you need them to, the go-to motion is to basically make them get out what they put in, right? Because some people love is different. Like my love, I was raised on love. So some people that are raised on survival, their love is to receive. Like that, their love is only going to receive. Their love is going to take and take. Because I was raised on love, I learned to not want stuff except for like little things that don't really appear unless they need to, like time or words. So I'ma always give love. Because a part of like the love that we do, we love to listen to people. We love to help people. We love to be around people. But we don't love to isolate ourselves more than anything, because that's where we need ourselves at. We need ourselves more.
Yeah.
Because we learned that like if people ain't gonna love us like separately, just us individuals, as not just people, but as men, we've learned to not want that unconditional love that women, children, and puppies get, because we give it to ourselves. That way we can always provide as fathers, as brothers, and as friends.
Like I said, with the therapy, the trust, and the encouragement all tie hand in hand, it all ties into respecting yourself. If you're in a position where you're around people that don't love you the way you need to be loved, stop doing everything in your power to force them to love you the way that you need to be loved. Go find somebody that's willing to love you the way that you need to be loved. Go find somebody that can provide you therapy. Go find somebody that can provide you encouragement. Stop lying to yourself to make someone else feel better. It's not all about them. But at the same time, when it comes down to sacrifice, it's not about you. It's
Get
about
2
who
minutes.
and what you're
Thank you.
sacrificing for. That's the only time you don't really have to take in consideration your own feelings, but you gotta legitimately respect yourself. That's it. Because you some things aren't as, like I said, black and white as it seems, where it's like you can just walk up to somebody and just have a random conversation. You gotta feel in that moment. And like I said, if you're in that moment of feeling some type of way and you feel like you can't confide in the person that's closest to you, then you'll never be at ease. And I'm gonna share with you guys a story. I have never told this story to anybody a day in my life. And this is what I'm talking about, where I say sacrifice isn't about yourself, it's about who and what you're sacrificing for. I had a situation where I was going to school and I legit needed some money. So I'm doing Uber Eats. I'm busting my butt for Uber Eats. Mind you, I was already working another job, but anybody that knows me knows I'm a workaholic. I'm gonna keep working. And I'm in the process of making money. I'm trying to reach this promotional time so I can get extra money. And I came across this guy. It's funny because I started off so far away from where I lived at the moment to ending up back to next where I lived, next to where I lived at. And I dropped some food off at this guy. And as I dropped the food off to him, I started to walk away. And the guy was like, "Hold on, brother, can I talk to you for a moment?" And I was like, "Sure." I didn't think nothing of it. It was one of the days where just everything just felt easy. And he just talked to me for a little bit. And he talked to me for maybe like 20, 30 minutes. And then at the end, he just stopped and just stared out into like the street. And I'm just sitting there like, everything okay with this man? Because something just doesn't seem right. And he told me, if it wasn't for you stopping and having this conversation with me right now, this meal that was given to me by my daughter, because I don't have any money and I'm in the process of that, I'm in the worst moment of my life. I would not be here after this food was done.
Mm,
Oh wow.
that's real.
Yeah.
Look, and you know something though, and just listening. That's why I wasn't looking at the camera, because I'm listening. It's just like, you know how that's that brink that we was talking about 10 minutes ago. That's that
Mhm.
brink where a person can either choose to be happy or something is going to, whatever they choose to do, they're still going to say, excuse my language, they're going to say, right? And it's in that line is invisible, right? and where that man literally his mind was like, all right, I'm gonna appreciate this meal, but what I'm gonna do after this, can't nobody stop. So he chose to confide in this stranger, right?
Mhm.
Watch how everything, every add-on just comes back full circle. He chose to confide in Jeff. And that was the only thing that saved that man's life. And it was his choice.
Yeah.
If Jeff would have made the opposite choice, that man would not be here.
Yeah. And let me give you a little bit
And,
of a little
and
bit of
that's real.
yeah. Let me give you a little bit of something to think about. And some of the people that walk this earth with the biggest smiles on their face are some of the people that's dealing with the most grief and depression ever.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it comes back to encouragement
Yeah.
and therapy. You have to encourage people to want to do the right thing. You have to encourage people to want to express themselves in a way where they feel accepted, they feel appreciated. Pat them on the back. Who cares? If your friend do something and you can see that every day they're trying their best, don't say, "Oh, I thought you could." You know, I make a joke with my friends all the time where I say, if you woke up one day and told me you could fly, I'd be more mad the fact that you've been walking all these years than the fact that I found out you could fly. But that's just our friendship. But you think
Right.
I still won't pat them on the back and say, congratulations, you have a power.
No, for
Congratulations,
real.
you made it on the test. Who cares if I knew you could do it? I'm going to be appreciative of the fact that you could do it because at the end of the day, it may not be the encouragement you don't get today. It could be the encouragement you may need tomorrow. If you come to me and show me you did
Uh,
100% on the test, you passed on the test, like you want to, say for example, you want to be a CDL driver and you passed the test. Congratulations. It's nothing. It takes no energy to tell somebody congratulations. Pat them on the back because they may need it. That's that therapy. Therapy doesn't. That's why I came at the beginning.
yeah.
I said therapy be normalized. I don't necessarily mean the simple act of sitting on someone's couch and they have a notebook and they're expressing to you, you're expressing their thoughts and they're writing it down. No, that's not therapy. That
It's
is a
not.
therapy session. There is different levels of therapy. This is therapy. This here
Mm.
is therapy.
Yeah.
So that person getting that confirmation on an active activity they've been doing and been trying thousands of times, that could be their therapy. Telling somebody they're doing a great job, sitting there and just talking to somebody could be therapy. I'm not saying go find a stranger to talk to, but at the same time, go find a stranger to talk to. It's okay.
And I'm not sure if Jeff really knows this, considering the fact that helped push this forward. But there was a time when I was in the military, I was completely down. Like I was losing a lot of things that I was working towards, and life really kind of just felt like, you know what, screw it. I don't care about this stuff no more. It's like I wasn't at the brink of saying, no, what, nah, I'm gonna just go ahead and end it here. But I was getting to that point to where I didn't care about a daggone thing. And this man, Jeff here, out of nowhere, just randomly posts. Now, mind you, before I went to the military, I ain't talked to my friends for a good 5 years straight. That's and that went from me seeing both Mike and Jeff almost every weekend, them begging, well, I wouldn't say begging, but them convincing me to come out the house when I didn't want to be bothered because they knew, bro, you got to get out that environment. To me not talking to them for a whole 5 years, I ain't gonna hold you, I even questioned, like, dang, are we even still friends anymore? I don't know. I didn't know if I still had friends for real, for real. But this man, Jeff, calls me out of nowhere, out the blue, while I'm in the military. I'm like, oh, dang, that's a surprise. And that's when I realized, like, no, this isn't your friend. That was the day I realized, nah, this isn't your friend. This is your brother. But moving on from that, not too long from that, I ended up coming home and I came home on leave. I'm like, you know what? I reconnected with some friends. Let me see them. This is the first time I would have seen them in 5 years. Now, yeah, unfortunately, I did break my leg playing football, but the way I looked at it, even though it kind of hampered me in a slight career choice that I was trying to go because I couldn't take that route because of a broken leg, I didn't regret a daggone thing because like I just hung out with friends that I haven't seen in 5 years that I wasn't even sure I even still had no more during a moment where I felt like I had absolutely nobody considering all things that was going on around me. Like
Mm.
I had lost a loved one. I was other friendships that I had developed weren't really, I wouldn't say they weren't there, but like they were too new. And considering the fact that how new they were based in the military, and yeah, some of those people, okay, they had to go to different places and other familial things that was going on in my life at the time, I didn't feel like I had nobody. So the fact that I needed a broken leg ironically, to solidify a bond that I had with people that I had a bond with, I wasn't even mad that I broke my leg. I'm like, bro, you broke your leg? I'm like, bro, I'm just happy I got to see my friends after 5 years, not even knowing if I even still had those friends, bro. Y'all can keep the broken leg. Yeah, it'll heal, but something inside me healed. Like, screw that broken leg. I traded a broken leg for a healed heart. I was fine with
That's
that.
real.
I was completely fine with that. Yeah, it hurt like, but I felt relief inside. That was like, honestly, you calling me that day was what I needed, and me accepting the fact that, yo, yeah, we miss you, bro. I know you ain't say it, but you was like, we miss you, bro. Where you been at? The fact that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna come see y'all next time I come home. Because last time I meant to say something like, I'll admit I kind of didn't say nothing the last time I came home and leave because I wasn't even sure if we were still cool because we stopped talking for so long. But the fact that I'm like, you know what? You called me. You went out of your way to call me when I haven't talked to y'all in 5 years. You know what?
Come here. Let me see your face.
This is real. So it's like, okay, yeah, let me make sure I show love to my friends because obviously, even though
30
it's been
minutes.
time, the
30
love
minutes.
is still there.
2 minutes.
I haven't regretted that day, not once. I do regret the fact that, yeah, a career choice I wanted to make had to take a sacrifice due to the fact that I broke my leg and how things ended up turning out because of it. But at the same time, I don't regret breaking my leg because I still got to spend time with people I care about. I got to spend time with doing something that I like to do that resulted in. So I can't even be mad at the fact that I broke my leg that day because that call that led to me agreeing to chill with y'all while I was on leave, that was probably the push I needed to keep me from going a route that I didn't know I was going to think about going down eventually later down the line in about a few more months.
I understand 100% what everybody was saying. I feel like, just respect yourself and take care of yourself because you never know where you're going to be at. You never gonna know what you're going to need. You never know who you can depend on until you go find the right person to depend on. And sometimes that right person to depend on is yourself. That's all the time.
Yeah.
You know, can't respect anybody else if you don't respect yourself. So with that being said, everyone have a great time. Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, be sure to push this video to anybody you can. Yeah, I'll take it easy.
Thanks for watching Normalize You. And don't forget to catch me every other Friday with your question of the week. And you can send in questions as well. Please reach out on our social media or our email and send us your questions, your topics, your responses. We actually do read them. Hope to see you there.